What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. War is a horrible human tragedy that often unfolds with a sense of grim inevitability. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine serves as an unfortunate confirmation of this reality. Despite numerous warnings and historical lessons, the trajectory of this war has mirrored earlier predictions with unsettling accuracy. From the anticipated resistance of Kiev to the mounting human cost and shifting public opinion within Russia, the events have unfolded in a manner that was both foreseeable and tragically preventable. Because, war guys, as quoted from one of my favorite video games, war never changes. Since the very beginning, it was widely acknowledged by international observers and military analysts that capturing Kiev would be an impossible challenge. The city is not only the capital, but also a symbol of Ukrainian sovereignty and resilience. Predictions asserted that neither a rapid assault nor a prolonged siege would easily bring Kiev under control. This has proven true, as Ukrainian forces have demonstrated remarkable resistance in defending their own homeland. The strategic miscalculations were obvious. Urban warfare favors the defenders, and Kiev's dense infrastructure provides natural fortifications. The Ukrainian military, bolstered by civilian volunteers, has utilized asymmetric tactics to great effect. Their detailed knowledge of the terrain and the support of the local population repelled the advancing forces with relative ease. International support in terms of intelligence, equipment and morale has played a significant role in strengthening Ukraine's defense as well. And it became one of the most important factors why Ukraine, a country much smaller in size, population and firepower, was able to defend itself against the second strongest military in the world, at least what was considered at that time. And the assumption that Ukrainian resistance would crumble under pressure underestimated the national identity and unity that have been brought together to extreme levels by the external threats. Historical context shows that nations under existential threat often exhibit heightened solidarity and resolve. Most, if not all, invasive wars of the past ended up with the defeat of the attacker, or defense was able to put an unexpectedly resilient fight at least. The aggressor's objectives are usually dictated from above, so it takes time for the soldiers to understand the purpose of the invasion, like what are they even doing in another country, while the objective of the defense is clear and simple: protect your homeland, friends and relatives. That is why there is so much more worth fighting for. The misjudgment of this factor from Putin's side has led to a prolonged conflict that deviates from any expectations of a swift victory. But before I proceed, I'd like to take just 2 minutes of your time, guys, if you don't mind, and talk about my favorite partner, Extra Wallets, the sponsor of today's video. Please don't skip, it helps this channel tremendously. So obviously I'm in a new place recording these videos, we traveled, and I had to bring my entire equipment with me. Luckily it's not that of a professional studio, so everything fits inside this small, relatively carry-on. And yeah, don't ask me why it's red. I wanted yellow, but I'm a family man now and my wants for my own things usually don't match with the family wants. But I'm sure some of you will understand it. But anyways, even though this is just a carry-on, it carries thousands of dollars of recording equipment. It is always very unsettling whenever the luggage is not next to me, so I always have to keep an eye on it, but luckily Extra has this wonderful credit card size trackers, which I can just place anywhere I want inside the luggage, and then I'll be able to track the location using standard features of my phone, such as Apple's Find Me. I also have one inside my wallet, so no more lost wallets either, extremely convenient. But Extra is mostly known for its first-class wallets, such as for example these ones that I have right here. The first one is this, made out of highest quality aluminum in midnight blue color. This is an updated version called Card Holder Pro. It does not use cheap materials like plastic anymore. It has a new ergonomic shape, which makes it even carrying around so satisfying. Holds up to 14 cards and has a lifetime warranty. Apple once said that they were obsessed with tactile feeling of their products, and well, I can definitely call this the Apple of the wallets. Or this one, probably my favorite, limited edition Vachetta Parliament wallet, made out of premium Italian leather that improves significantly with the age. It develops a unique patina over time, which enhances its appearance and durability. And it just smells like you just entered one of the high-end boutiques somewhere in Milano. And so me and Exter were able to get you guys a deal, the fall sale, which lasts only until November 7th, so please hurry up. You can get up to 30% off using the discount code DUDE during checkout. There is also my personal link down below, partner.exter.com/Russian Dude. Thanks so much, Exter, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the program. The Russian military has faced significant challenges that stem from long-standing systemic issues. Corruption within the ranks has diverted resources away from the essential functions, undermining operational readiness. Funds intended for equipment maintenance, troop training, and logistical support have been quote-unquote misappropriated, leading to deficiencies on the battlefield. Incompetence has further exaggerated these problems. Leadership failures have resulted in poorly planned operations and inadequate support for frontline units. Reports indicate that communication breakdowns and lack of coordination have led to tactical losses. Troops have found themselves ill-prepared for the realities of combat, facing supply shortages and unclear objectives. All this led to useless losses of the useless war from both sides. Ukrainians simply have no other choice, they have to protect their own land. And Russians, who were forced or brainwashed into fighting and then grinded through never-ending meat-assaults, the tactics favorited by the Soviet leadership so much that worked during only the Second World War, but is now completely unacceptable in the modern warfare. These issues are not incidental, but are indicative of deeper structural problems. The lack of accountability and transparency within the military hierarchy has allowed these flaws to happen in the first place. The consequences have been dire, with increased casualties and demoralized fighting force. This internal decay contrasts sharply with the professionalism and motivation exhibited by Ukrainian forces, highlighting a critical differences of the two militaries. As the conflict continues, the human cost has become increasingly apparent. At the moment of recording this video, for example, estimatedly 675,800 Russian soldiers became casualties of Putin's quick and decisive special military operation. This is way more than any other conflicts since the Great Patriotic War combined. Casualty numbers are rising, and the impact is being felt across Russian society. Families are receiving devastating news, and communities are dealing with the loss and grief. This personal connection to the war is altering public perception in significant ways, and the longer the war goes on, the more families will become directly affected, until the point when they will not be able to tolerate much anymore. Initially, state-controlled media maintained a narrative of success and minimal losses. However, the significant increase of death notifications and the visible absence of loved ones have made the reality impossible to ignore. Social media platforms, local gatherings, and personal networks have become the main platforms for sharing experiences and expressing dissent. The once abstract concept of war has become a tangible and painful reality for many. This problem has been specifically exaggerated by the state's attitude towards its, what they call them, heroes. Promises of glory, social ladder, and wealth for the soldiers, and the protection and promises that the war will never come to the Russian territory were shattered by the Kursk incursion. The residents of the region were abandoned by their local authorities. The army did not protect them, and Putin simply ignored the entire thing like it never happened. People who lost everything in less than a week became nobodies in Putin's eyes, not worth even a slight mention during prime-time news. There was some unrests, as Russian propaganda called it, and everything was dealt with rather quickly. No reason for panic, come back to your lives, and stop spreading fake news, otherwise you will end up in jail for discrediting the Russian military. That was the message from the state to the people of Kursk region. Economic consequences are also influencing public opinion. Sanctions and international isolation have led to rising prices, job losses, and financial instability. The combination of personal loss and economic hardship is fueling ever-growing dissatisfaction. People are questioning the purpose of the conflict and whether the sacrifices demanded are justified. The demographic impact is huge as well. The loss of young lives has long-term implications for communities and the nation. The psychological toll on families and the potential for generational trauma cannot be ignored. As these effects compound, the initial justifications for war are increasingly scrutinized and challenged by the people of Russia. In an effort to control the narrative, the Russian government has employed extensive propaganda and censorship. Official statements portray a controlled and successful military operation, downplaying losses and emphasizing minimal gains. But this facade is cracking under the weight of personal experiences and the availability of alternative information sources. The retreat of Russian forces from certain areas and the redeployment strategies contradict the triumphant messages spread by state media. Soldiers returning home share stories that conflict with the official accounts, and the discrepancies are becoming widely known. The government's attempts to suppress information are being undermined by the digital age. The generation that still relies heavily on passing papers from one department to another as the main source of exchange of information, well, they simply underestimated the unsuspensible freedom that internet provides. The treatment of fallen soldiers had become a big issue as well. Reports suggest that some are not being properly honored and that their deaths are completely ignored from time to time, like nothing once again happened. This perceived lack of respect for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice is generating public outrage. Traditional values of military honor are disrespected, and violations of these principles resonate strongly within the society. The psychological impact of the conflict extends beyond immediate grief. There is a growing sense of betrayal among the people. No wonder. Expectations of a quick resolution have been replaced by the reality of a protracted and costly war. This shift has immediate consequences for societal trust in leadership. The youth, who are often the most affected by war, are questioning their place in a society that sends them into conflict without clear justification. The loss of peers, friends, and the fear of conscription are contributing to a climate of anxiety and uncertainty. Educational institutions, workplaces, and social circles are all feeling the strain of this atmosphere. And there is obviously a reason why people call kids their future. Because this is the next generation which will shape the country's development and international relations. And when the government raises the generation of hatred, distrust, uncertainty, and lack of long-term plans, what kind of country will Russia become after Putin is gone? Well, certainly not the one Putin cares about. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I also want to say thank you Extra once again for sponsoring this video. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. There are other useful links down below. Thanks so much for watching. See you on Tuesday. We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims on us all they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe in ridiculous Russian propaganda.